Everyone, and welcome back to my true crime channel. Today I'm going to be giving my thoughts and views on a recent media interview that missing 5-year-old Summer Wells' dad, Don Wells, has given. The interview was given this week on Monday the 12th of July, just one day before the 4-week anniversary of Summer going missing. So the interview was given to a local news station in America by Don, the father of missing 5-year-old Summer Wells. Her mother, Candus, does not feature in the interview. She is talked about, and I guess the most shocking thing to start with that I notice is that he mentions that she's having anger problems. Now, he could be saying that in regards to how she's dealing with what's happened to Summer, but it's a bit of a red flag to me. I didn't really like him saying that. It was almost as if he was bad-mouthing her, and it was a really weird thing for him to say. So I'm just going to run through it briefly for you guys. I'm not going to do a full-length statement analysis, but I'm hoping that I might be able to do a longer video where I go piece by piece through the entire statement that he gives. But he's basically asked how the family are doing. He says that the boys are coping better than they are, Summer's brothers, and that they'll be going back to school soon. It would seem that Don has already returned to work. He's obviously got to earn money to provide for his family. How Candace and her grandmother are coping themselves, we're not too sure, other than him saying that Candace is having anger problems, and she's getting quite a lot of abuse on social media, which is really uncalled for, whether we think they're involved or not. There's no need to be hassling them on social media, so I really hope that stops, because a lot of people, including myself, could be wrong about our views on Summer Wells' parents. So something else that's extremely interesting about this interview, not just Don saying that Candace has anger issues or anger management issues, is that he speaks about the polygraph, or the lie detector test, that all three of Don, Candace and Summer's grandmother have recently taken. He said that they made Candace wait 5 days to take hers. He had to wait a couple of days. He didn't give a timescale for when the grandmother was spoken to, but he alluded to the fact that there was a slight delay in him and Candace giving their lie detector tests, or doing their lie detector tests. I imagine because of the emotion that they were feeling in the first couple of days, or something along them lines is what he claims. But it's quite shocking to hear the grandmother had one. I wasn't aware of that. I had heard that Candace had one, but they basically, well, he claims they all passed, but he did say that that doesn't necessarily mean they're still not under suspicion, because the lie detector's test results are not admissible in a court in America. So it's very interesting to me that the police have interviewed all three of them and done a polygraph. They obviously don't suspect them, perhaps, although who knows, they could do, but then maybe they're not saying. They have recently said that there's not a person of interest in the case. I may do a separate video on that entire thing altogether, because I find it really weird that after 4 weeks, there's no person of interest. Now, I could be wrong, and maybe there isn't a person of interest, but I think the police probably do have a few people of interest, but they're not letting on who they are. It's an active investigation. They haven't even released the 911 call, the actual official one, not the dispatch call, because I'm aware that that is available on YouTube and I have heard it. That's quite interesting, because Candace apparently went for a walk, but then claims that she didn't go for a walk. So what the timeline is for Summer going missing is all up in the air. And again, as it didn't make much sense 2 or 3 weeks ago, this whole situation still doesn't add up. So Don talks about also during this statement how upset he is about the disappearance of his daughter, how much they loved each other, that no one had ever loved him as much as his little daughter did, which is really sad to hear him say. He talks about her in the past tense again on more than one occasion, which I'm sure you'll note as you watch through the footage of him, or sorry, listen to the audio of him. And it's quite shocking that he seems to maybe have accepted that she might be dead already. He does talk in a statistic manner that by now, after 4 weeks, it's likely that she has passed away or come to some harm, but it seems as though he's already resigned to the fact that she's gone, which, maybe after 4 weeks you do, but most missing children's parents don't accept they're dead after only 4 weeks. So Don is obviously a religious man. Apparently he found religion in prison a number of years ago. He can believe in whatever he wants to believe in, but he does use religious references quite a lot during this interview, which are red flags to me, because it's almost as if he's trying to make it look like he's a real religious man, so therefore he couldn't have done anything wrong here. Now, maybe he hasn't done anything wrong. Apparently he was at work when Summer went missing, but there are sort of holes in that story, because the distance that it would take for him to drive doesn't add up with the time that he's apparently supposedly left work and gets back to the house. So there's a bit of a discrepancy there. There were rumours floating around on the internet that maybe Candace went to meet him on his way home from work. Who knows what went on? None of us know what happened to Summer. We can only speculate. But what he does claim in this interview is that she was definitely abducted. He doesn't have any other theory that he's going with, just the abduction theory. So the interviewer from the news station that is calling Don sort of asks him about that and says, you know, I've been up to look at your property and I don't think anybody could approach the property without you being aware if you were at home or someone was at home, Candace and your sons and your mother-in-law, Summer's grandmother. And he sort of says that they probably came from the woods, or that they definitely come from the woods is what he alludes. And I think the person on the phone, the news reporter, seems a bit surprised by that, and Don then backs that up by saying, well, we have had people out here late at night snooping around, sneaking around, you know, maybe burglars or people that are going to looking to commit a crime. Really all add up. Like I said before, I've seen the aerial shots of the property now, and to run off into the woods, you would still be heard, especially if someone was kicking and screaming, unless you'd gagged the little girl. The whole abduction theory just doesn't add up. Now, yeah, they could have come from the woods, they could have escaped through the woods, but how did they kidnap Summer in 2 minutes? Now, some people are saying it's 20 minutes, but from what I've heard Candace say, it was a very small period of time, only a few minutes maybe at the most, from when she watches Summer go into the house to when herself or Candace goes back into the house to look for Summer. Only a couple of minutes has passed and she's gone. Now, a lot of people have said that it's strange that she went to look on to see how her daughter was after only 2 minutes, but she was only a 5-year-old girl. Perhaps she wanted to go back into the house for something else and, you know, just wanted to make sure someone was all right. A lot of their story still doesn't sit well with me. I don't know who I suspect here. At first, I thought it was probably more likely to be the dad. But now I'm wondering, because Summer was in her mother's care, could she have come to some harm, or perhaps even had a tragic accident whilst she was with her mum that day? So something else Don says during this interview or phone interview is that, you know, the police are still focusing on looking around the vicinity of the house, but he thinks Summer could be 100 miles away, almost as if he wants the search to move much further away from their house, which, unless he's got some evidence that she's 100 miles away, why would you want to do that unless you know that she's somewhere near your house? So again, as always, guys, just a caveat, these are always just my thoughts and views. I don't mean any harm to Summer's family. I just like to share my thoughts and views on the case with you. And I've been so impressed by all the comments you've been popping below on my previous cases about Summer. Apologies if I haven't gotten back to you. I promise I will be as soon as I can. Just had a very busy week this last week. But this whole case is on my brain all the time. Everything about it doesn't add up. All the red flags with the parents, the constant use of past tense when speaking about Summer, the fact that Summer's mother doesn't seem to want to do any more interviews with the media. I can understand why, because she's been scrutinised so much that perhaps she was on drugs, medication, or, you know, hard drugs that she's chosen to take. Who could say? We're not there. She does look like she's on something because her eyes keep rolling back and she's certainly not with it. I wouldn't say Don looked like he was on drugs, but that whole first interview that they did a few weeks ago is still really bizarre. So something else Don says here is something about, you know, how the police should be focusing on terrorism, and he sort of starts talking about that, which has got nothing to do with Summer going missing, and it's really, really weird. There's quite a lot of things here that are weird, but I just wanted to give you my initial thoughts on it today, guys. I will be listening to that interview over and over again over the next few days, taking my notes, and I will do a much longer statement analysis of the interview that he gives to the media in America, where I go through piece by piece, analysing it and letting you know where I think he's being deceptive. So I'm pleased that at least one of Summer's parents is still wanting to speak to the media, getting Summer's story out there. I've tried to get it out in the UK as much as I can by covering it here. And the reason I'm so interested in the case is because it's a really bizarre case. Most 5-year-old girls don't go missing for 4 weeks. And if they do go missing, they're normally found pretty safe and sound quickly. This is a case that reminds me of Madeleine McCann, and because that's the most famous missing child's case we've ever, or person's case we've ever had in this country or within the UK, this case with Summer has reminded me of that. Madeleine's case has always stayed in my brain because when she went missing, my niece was the same age as her, and it all just, you know, struck home that a little girl could be left in an apartment on holiday and just disappear. Her parents are pretty strange, in my opinion. So this whole case reminds me of that. I hope she doesn't turn into the new Madeleine McCann, a little girl that's never found and years pass by. I really hope that's not the case. If Summer has died, I hope they can find her body. I hope that's not the case. Let's hope, you know, horrible to say, but maybe she has been abducted, but hopefully by a nice person. Highly unlikely, but I live in hope. So just to say, I do detect deception from Don throughout this interview. I'm not saying that means he's involved in Summer's disappearance, but I do believe he's got guilty knowledge of what happened to her. Whether it was an accident in Candus, her mother's care, I don't know, I wasn't there, but these are just my thoughts and views as always, guys. Like I said, I don't mean anyone any harm, but they definitely know more than they're letting us know or letting on. So anyway, guys, like I said, I will do another longer video, probably another half an hour or an hour video on this interview that Don gave, so that I can give you a lot more detail about where I detect deception and analyse every single thing he says. I will do that and hopefully get it out for you in the next week or so, at the most 2 weeks, but hopefully within the next week. I will keep you updated on this case as and when there is fresh news. And, you know, if you can, spread the word about Summer, especially if you live in America or in Tennessee, in the state of Tennessee. I imagine everyone is going out of their mind watching this on the news and just thinking, where the hell is Summer Wells? So fingers crossed Summer can be found soon. I'm praying for that little girl, and I'm sure you all are too. As always, guys, I hope you're keeping well and staying safe, and I'll be back very soon with another true crime video. Bye for now.